Commission, we manage water resources responsible through continuous engagement with our stakeholders and devolve decision-making to the lowest level of water users in the Breede-Gouritz management. You cannot do alone. We need all the inhabitants of this water management area to assist in this very important task of doing water resources management. So in terms of the annual performance plan, we've got 7 what we call strategic focus areas. Is different from a program.
They're requesting that you open your camera.
Chair, is it me now? Can I continue, Chair?
We can see you now. You can proceed.
Okay, no, thank you. You can see as a very, very handsome person on this side. So the 7 strategic focus areas. Number 1 is water resources planning, water use management, institutional and stakeholder relations, water allocation reform, water resource protection, strategic support, and management and governance. So this is all, just to emphasize all the focus areas, is you do water resource management on a local level in a water management area with the support of the inhabitants living in the various catchments in the water management area. If I can start with the first one. It is the one for water resources planning. This is one of the core functions of the Breede-Gouritz CMA. This is everything related to planning and rezoning applications in the area. So every time that somebody wants to rezone a piece of land or want to develop a new or change rezoning, you need to inform and send a request to the relevant authorities. So the Breede-Gouritz to provide the comments. It's very important for water resource management because by doing this properly, you can ensure that pollution is not happening, that all water use is really authorized, and also you can ensure that the planning of settlements, for example, is not happening inside floodlines, and by doing that, you're protecting the people and the assets of whoever wants to develop. So our target is very tall order. It is 90% of all applications received. We want to comment it on, but I mean, if it was also 90%, and we did achieve that, so it's not the target that we set for the next strategic focus area is water use management.
I'm not sure whether it's my network or it's Mr. Van Standard network.
With the water registration. So
it's not yours, Chair.
I suggest, Chair, you can close the video so that it increases the strength of his network. No?
Yes, Mr. Van Standard, we're struggling to hear you. You can close your video and proceed. Probably the network might be better. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear better now?
Yes.
So it's still water use management, where the first one is all to do with the registration of water use. Here our target is 85%. The next one is linked to the validation and verification project that we are running in the area, and we did run in the past. Here is to update all the information that came from these projects onto the WORMS database, and our target is 700. And then lastly on this page is this 350 number of backlog properties that we want to register on the WORMS that do have revenue implications. These are on a continuous basis. There is a change on ownership of properties, etc. So this is just to keep track and keep the right information on the database so that we can better know what is the water use and also how to send out the correct invoices to the water users.
Mr. Van Staden, we can no longer hear you.
We can hear his papers, but he's quiet now.
Chair, can you hear me again now?
Yes, clearly.
Proceed.
No, thank you. I don't know what's happening tonight in Worcester. Somebody's like blocking the lines coming from Cape Town. If I can just continue with water use management, the strategic focus area. It is all about the water use authorization captured in terms of the National Water Act. Certain water users can continue without a license. It's like automatic license, and we call it the general authorization. So every time that somebody applying or not applying to send in a request to use water in terms of the general authorization, it is confirmed by the Breede-Gouritz CMA, and then it must be registered on the system. So this is important to be registered, and our target is 100%. Then the whole matter of the licenses, this was also mentioned by the President in the State of the Nation address. The Breede-Gouritz CMA is playing the role of a commenting authority. So we process all license applications before we send it to the department for the necessary approval. And the target here is to process 85% of the licenses within the new regulated timeframes. That is now the 90 days. So within 80 days, we must play our role before it is forwarded on the system to the department for approval or not approval. Then the next one is the whole matter that was previously explained about general authorizations. The target is 100%. So everybody that wants to use water in terms of general authorization, it is confirmed. Then the important one is the number of audit reports for water use compliance. It is important to check all the time that water users comply to authorizations, apply to the conditions inside the authorizations. Otherwise, there's a tendency that the people are not so aware about the requirements of the National Water Act, and for that is needed for a BTCMA to be seen to be visible in the area, and that we are really checking on water use and compliance to the law. Then a matter that is very topical. It is the quality of wastewater coming from municipal wastewater treatment works. And here we target specifically for this area to look at specifically at compliance at these big works in our area to ensure that the receiving water resources are not getting polluted. Then it is the matter of what we call the validation and verification of water use. So our target is here to do 200 a year, it is a very complex and technical process. It's not so easy to be done, because this one is all to do what was the water use on a property in the year 1998. That's already 23 years ago. And to determine exactly what was the water use, you need some very good information and technical support and images, and sometimes satellite images, to come to a right conclusion. But I must also stress that even without the information about what is the confirmed lawful water use of a property or an industry or a municipality, for example, there's still, if somebody complain about unlawful water use or an unlawful dam, we are quite in a good position to investigate it and check on the lawfulness. And if it's not lawful, to take the necessary steps to bring that water users also in compliance to the law. The next strategic focus area is institutional and stakeholder relations. I mean, this is core. If you don't capacitate and involve your public, you cannot be successful in water resources management, because, as said right in the beginning, there on your own, the institution does not have sufficient capacity to do water resource management. You need a capacitated awareness of the people living in the area. So the target for this year is 5,000, and is the number of learners and stakeholders capacitated in awareness in water resource management. These are all aspects of water resources management, like, for example, littering, pollution, invasive vegetation, etc., that can play a role to capacitate people. Then is the whole thing about how we work together, collaborate with other government departments, because the Breede-Gouritz CMI wants to be the central of water resource management in the area. So it's necessary that we coordinate activities between various role players to be successful and to reach target in water resource management. Then we compile a newsletter inside the office. This is to inform our own staff and also the stakeholders of all the new developments that's happening in the water sector. Then still with effective and empowered stakeholders is this whole thing that we're very proud of inside the Breede-Gouritz CMI, where we financially support community projects that makes a big difference in the various communities. These are projects like irrigation systems, food gardens for schools and old age homes, aquaculture, etc. There's also one that we funded recently, what we call the swap shop, where the people can actually exchange like rubbish for all types of other things that you can use inside your household. Then is the matter of the forums, the catchment forums. The forums are really important. They are the eyes and the ears of the Breede-Gouritz CMI. Without capacitated forums and active forums, you cannot really be successful. So that's why we invest a lot of resources and time into our forums, and the target is to support 40 forums in this current year. When we move to the strategic focus area, water allocation reform, this is all capacitated resource-poor farmers with water supply. We aim for that. Then the first one is we support farmers with how to apply for water use, what we call the technical support on water use. It's quite complex to apply for a water license, for example, and we try our best with our knowledge inside the Breede-Gouritz CMI to support the resource-poor farmers to apply for licenses, and the target is 100%. So in the past, it was also 100%. So everybody that's approaching the Breede-Gouritz CMI, we log that person and we see that person is helped. That is how we count the 100%. Then we also plan for workshops to capacitate and empower resource poor farmers. On these workshops, it's not only about the water, it's also about the funding or what is available in other government departments so that we can provide a one-stop shop for resource poor farmers so that they can know how to apply for water, where is water available, what funding is available, how to get access to land. And I mean that we can give that information because all the government departments that are relevant is playing a role and we work together on this one. Then the next one is all about still support for the resource poor farmers. This one is linked to the irrigation subsidy and the installation of rainwater harvesting tanks. These tanks are installed and the water coming from the tank is not so much used for drinking water purposes, is more linked to the irrigation of crops where there's a garden or a small piece of land available. And we did visit some of the projects in the past and it's quite successful and it's making a difference in the lives of many people. Then the next strategic focus area is water resources protection. Here we want to look how does the water resources look, and to do that we monitor the different water resources. So we've got 80 points that we want to monitor in the current year, and these sampling points are spread all over the rivers and the groundwater resources. Then I want to move to this concept that we call river rehabilitation projects. These are linked to the removal of alien vegetation next to our rivers. We call it river rehabilitation because normally these projects is only linked to the riparian areas next to the rivers, and because the alien vegetation is not a threat, it's happening already. It reduces our water supply in our rivers, and I mean in the country and also in the area, we need more resources actually to manage this huge problem, and the problem is growing bigger on a daily basis. And that's why we fund 3 of these projects in our area with the help of other government departments to make an impact and reduce some of this alien vegetation. Then the last one on this page is the matter of the non-compliant cases resolved. So every time where there's a pollution incident, for example, a member of the public or anyone can complain to the Breede-Gouritz CMA, and that complaint is investigated, and hopefully in the most cases it is resolved, and the target is as always 100%. Can move on to the one for strategic support. First one is reports complying with listed financial reporting prescripts, and our target, as always, for this current year is 100% compliance. Then the tariffs report that we submitted, this one we do the necessary tariff consultation with the stakeholders, and then a draft tariff report that is submitted to the department, and the department and the minister is using this report also coming from the BG-CMA to determine what will be the tariffs be for the next year. Then the risk assessment report, this one is linked to our audit reports. I'm just going to continue. Then the same compliance, the audit recommendation. I mean, every time there's an audit recommendation, the Breede-Gouritz CMA normally comply 100% to the audit recommendation, and our target for this year is also 100%. Then our budget, our targeted budget for the procurement on triple BEE, I mean a large, the the vast majority of our procurement budget is spent by means of BBBEE, and the target is 100%. It was achieved in the past of that set aside budget, and the plan for this year is also to achieve 100% of that or more. Then the matter of the water resource management charges collected, the income, as the CFO will explain later, the Breede-Gouritz CMA is getting income from augmentation from the department, but we must also collect about 50% of the money, of our own money, and for that it's very important that our collection rate is as high as possible. So we aim for the medium term to move up to 80% of water resource management charge collected, and for this current year the target is 75%. And lastly on this page is the matter of our organization development, and the target is to fill 75% of our approved and full post on organogram, and the target is that for this current year. Strategic focus area number 7, management and governance, is again corporate compliance reports and non-financial reporting scripts produced. So the target is, again as always, we want to achieve 100% of what is necessary in terms of the law and compliance. The number of shareholders compacts signed, this is the one where the board signed a contract with the minister. They call it the shareholder compact, and for that is required one every year. And lastly on this page is our intergovernmental relations, our working together with national departments, other catchment management agencies, all to strengthen water resource management, to learn from other organizations, and also to share some of our own experience in water resource management to eventually to strengthen the water sector. Chair, that is my part. Can I hand over now to the CFO?
Yes, sir.
Good evening to the Honorable Chair, honorable members, to the DM, and to my colleagues at large. My name is Zanele Mngoma, the CFO for Breede-Gouritz CMA. Okay, next slide, Yanni. For what Yanni has mentioned already, the CMA will only need the 75.1 million, the budget for the 2021-22. We only need 75.1 million. If you look at the bottom, the last line, the increase overall of our budget is 10.29%. It's from 68 million to 75 million. And if I go up on that column, the employee-related cost has increased by 14%. Goods and services has increased by 2.76%. And then repairs and maintenance, capital outlay, and board-related cost has increased by 5.6%, all of them. Okay, next slide, Yanni. As Yanni already mentioned, that we've got two sources of funding. First one is from the water collections, water resource management collections, and the other one is from the augmentation from the department. Out of the 75.1 million, we anticipate that 40 million will be getting it from the department, and then the 32 million will come from our collection, which is the 75% that Mr. Van Staden has already mentioned. It amounts to 32 million. And then 2.2 million is the interest received from the late payment as well as from the bank balance that we will be having at the time. Okay, next slide, Jan. Okay, the budget is prepared on zero-based budget. And then under the goods and services on the previous table, Yani already mentioned that we have projects that we are running. It's river rehabilitation, rainwater harvesting tank, and social upliftment. It's part of the goods and services. Our total project amounts to between 8 to 10 million for the financial year. Okay, also under the source of funding, the 54,09 of the budget will be funded through augmentation from the department. This amount includes 11,76%, which will be funded from the transfer of water to Breede-Gouritz. There is a certain amount of water that we are transferring to Breede-Gouritz, and the department is collecting the water charges on our behalf, and then in agreement that we bill the department to pay us that money back. So that is all included on the 54% of the augmentation. And then 42,94% will be funded through direct billing and collection, which is the 75% that we've already mentioned. Interest received from the bank balance and late payment, the 2.2% I've already mentioned in terms of figures, amounts to 2,97%. Thank you, Yani. Thank you, Chair. That's all from my side. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Chair, Your Excellency, Chair. I think Team Breede-Gouritz, they are done. We are going to request that we remove the slides from there to allow Team Inkomati-Usuthu Catchment Management Agency to connect theirs, and then they check and start leading to introduce the work, and then Shabang will then do the presentation with his team. If we can allow Babum Tembu.
Thanks very much, Deputy Minister. Good evening, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members.
Good
Honorable
evening,
Deputy
sir.
Minister. I'll show my pictures just now. Officials from the department and fellow colleagues. I don't know whether you see my picture there. That's me.
We can see you, Mbela.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, for the opportunity to present our APP and our budget. I'll just give a few highlights on our presentation, and this acting CEO will deal with the details. In coming up with the APP and the budget, we took into account the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as any other foreseeable challenges that may come our way. Just to, as a matter of highlight, a few highlights that is in our interview, in our presentation. We have planned to do a number of key projects that will have a good impact in our water catchment management area. We've also have a bursary scheme and the internship programs for young university graduates, which is very beneficial to the young people in our water catchment management area. We work closely with the University of Mpumalanga to establish a water sciences faculty, and our young people will soon study.
Sam,
yeah.
It's Mnisi here. I see that Chairperson, through you, if it's okay, I see they're asking to have presentation rights. They're unable to present their screen share. Sorry, Sam, I just thought let me convey the message. Thank you, Chair.
Can I get the name of the presenter, please?
Simon Tembu, the acting chairperson of IUCMA Governing Board.
Thank you.
But Babum Tembu, the person who needs to do, or it has been assigned also to Shabang, it's okay too. Thank you.
Yeah, it's assigned to Shabang, the details, yeah.
Sorry, DM, they both Shabangu.
We have done well. The co-hosting is okay now.
Okay, sure.
All right. I was saying we work closely with the University of Mpumalanga to establish a water sciences faculty, and our young people will soon study, study water sciences at their own local university. Coming to the few challenges that we have, the few challenges that we have are receiving attention from the department and the Honorable Minister, and will soon be resolved as we have communicated those challenges to the department. On those few notes, highlights, I will hand over to Advocate Shabang to give details on the presentation of our APPN budget. Over to you, Mr. Shabang.
Okay. Jesus.
Also, please just put it on a presentation mode, please.
All right. No, thank you very much, Chair, and good evening to the Honorable Chairperson of the committee, Umam Simenya, honorable members of the committee in attendance, the Deputy Minister, our Chairperson of the board, Ubabum Tembu, colleagues, good evening. My name is Bernard Shabangu. I'm the acting Chief Executive Officer of Inkomati-Usuthu. We're going to be making a presentation with me. I've got the acting CFO, Umis Govere. I've got Dr. Mulandwa, the Executive Water Resource Management, the acting Executive for Corporate Services, Umis Machiman. Our presentation, Chair, has got quite a number of areas, some of which I will summarize in the interest of time, but we'll just capture the critical ones where we will define our geographic location, looking at the outcomes and the programs that we have in the year. We will also touch a little bit on our revised organizational structure, the MTEF targets, and the annual targets as well. We'll highlight the key projects and the finances. Chairperson, we were here to present the APPN budget for the Inkomati-Usuthu Catchment Management Agency for the financial year 2021-2022. As already indicated by the Chair, we will try and highlight the key targets for the year, as well as the plans that are in alignment with the DPME outcomes-based planning and performance framework. We are an entity, Chair, of the Department of Water and Sanitation, established in terms of Section 78 of the National Water Act. Our mandate being the protection, conservation, use, management of water resources within our catchment management area. Stakeholder involvement is very critical, Chair, in the work that we do in the context of decentralized water resource management. Some of the key activities that we do, Chair, we are responsible for strategic transfers to the ESCOM operations in Mpumalanga, the Sasol Secunda complex. We're also responsible for transboundary international obligations to Mozambique and Swaziland, or the Kingdom of Eswatini. We are also responsible for water resource management as it relates to the support to our operations in agriculture, forest, mining, industry, domestic, and tourism within our catchment management area, largely within the province of Mpumalanga. We're funded by the parliamentary grant and water resource charges. We're a Schedule 3A public entity, and we're also compliant with the PFMA. Chair, that screen just depicts our geographical position as a transboundary water management entity, forming a part of the Inkomati River Basin, which covers Mozambique, Swaziland, and our country under the Inkomati Agreement. The slide on the right just depicts our geographic location within the province of Mpumalanga, stretching across 3 district municipalities. That picture here just highlights the key legislative frameworks that are guiding how we roll out our mandate. Our vision, the key tenets of it, speaks to the provision of sufficient, equitable, and quality water resources for all within the Inkomati-Usuthu catchment management area. Chairperson, there was a recent review in the reporting frameworks published by the Department of Monitoring and Evaluation, which required that entities must move from the strategic objectives kind of reporting to an outcomes-based reporting framework. And in compliance with that directive, we have had to restructure our programs so that then we are able to report in accordance with the outcomes-based reporting framework. And in line with that, we held our strategic session where we reflected on our working programs, and we came up with 4 key programs that are going to assist us to report in that framework. Program 1 speaks to increased stakeholder satisfaction. Outcome 2 speaks to enhanced human resource capabilities. Outcome 3 speaks to the maintenance of financial sustainability, and outcome 4 speaks to protected water resources. In line with those outcomes, Chair, we have then gone ahead to put out outputs and indicators so that we're able to measure our performance in respect of those outcomes. On outcome 1, Chair, the key focus of our attention would be in terms of the indicators, would be the stakeholder engagement plan, which is going to consume quite a large effort on our side to make sure that the stakeholder management engagement plan is achieved and the targets that are in that plan are attained. On outcome 2, we're focusing, Chair, on employee safety, and we felt that in the context of the COVID environment where we are, Chair, employee safety has become more and more a focus for many industries within the country and the world, and we have said that we need to make sure that we put out indicators that are going to make sure that we prevent our employees and we protect them from falling prey to either injuries whilst they are on duty or suffering infections whilst they are on duty. But we're also having a second output in terms of that outcome, Chair, where we're focusing on employee retention, and we're saying it takes quite an effort to train employees and make sure that they are competent enough to deliver on the mandate of the entity, and therefore we wanted to make sure that the entity retains the skilled staff as much as we can, and we're saying the rate of employee turnover will be a focus of our activities, especially from the HR side in the period under review. On outcome 3, Chair, we're talking to issues of financial sustainability, and we're saying cost control will become a key focus of our work during the period, and we'll make sure that the working ratio creates a situation where there's minimal wastage and that all the limited resources at our disposal are directed to the most important of needs of our stakeholders. But we're also looking at issues of revenue enhancement within that particular outcome, Chair, to say we need to make sure that our collection ratio improves quite significantly during the period, and in that regard we will be putting in place quite a number of interventions to make sure that our collection rate improves as well. On outcome 4, Chair, we're speaking to issues of water resource protection, where we're saying we want to make sure that there's effective resource management. And in that regard, we're saying the resource quality objectives that we've put out for the period under review will be watched quite strictly to make sure that we reach the targets that we've set for ourselves. But also, Chair, in terms of water use authorizations, we're saying that the compliance with the international obligations to which we have committed, that those are achieved. But also we're looking at issues of regulatory compliance, wherein the newly promulgated revised timelines for water use authorizations, we've moved to the 90 days now, and our task really would be to make sure that we're compliant in terms of the new time frames as well. But also saying, Chair, in terms of instances of non-compliance, that those cases are investigated within the stipulated time frames as well. Chairperson, we're highlighting in this slide our current structure as approved by the governing board, primarily because for the longest time, I think since the inception of the institution, the institution has always been having two divisions. You had the corporate services division, which was housing finance as well, and then you had water resource management. But the governing board has felt that it was important and has determined that it was important that you delineate financial management from corporate services, and thereby create a situation where financial reporting, supply chain, revenue, finance, that those are managed separately from the HR activities and all of those. So now we have got three divisions, being the water resource management, corporate services, and financial management as well. In terms of the MTEF, Chair, talking to the outcomes of the institution, we're saying on outcome 1, on stakeholder satisfaction, in terms of our indicators, we will be focusing on making sure that 80% of the targets that are set out in the stakeholder engagement plan, that those are achieved as well, and that number will be increasing into the MTF. And we're also looking at outcome 2, where we're saying disabling injury and the frequency thereof, we want it to be below 1 in terms of the scale that we have set for employee safety. But we're also saying that we want to keep the staff retention or turnover at 6% or less within the period. On outcome 3, Chair, in terms of the maintenance of financial sustainability, on the working ratio, we're saying we want to keep it at 80%, debt collection at 25%, and then that number will increase into the MTF. On water resource protection, Chair, we're saying that the resource quality objectives that we have set for ourselves, we're putting the target at 90% in terms of the attainment of those international obligations. We're keeping the number at 90% as well. On water use authorizations within the regulated time frame, 90%. And we're saying in terms of the turnaround time for a response on reported cases, we're saying 90% is our target at that level as well. And those are the annual targets, Chair, just confirming what we will be having within the year and into the quarters. Stakeholder engagement plan, 80%. You've got the less than 1 on the injury on duty, 6% on the employee turnover working ratio, 80% the debt ratio, 25%, resource quality objectives, international obligations, the water use authorizations, and the non-compliance incidences. All of those, our target for the year would be at the 90% and above. Chairperson, we want to highlight the key projects that we are going to be focusing on within the financial year 2021-22, and we're saying in terms of the targets, we are going to be focusing on the implementation of our catchment management strategy. The verification and validation project, Chair, will continue We are looking also to be expanding our monitoring networks from a quantity and quality perspective. We are also going to be rolling out programs to respond to droughts, floods, and pollution within our catchment management area. We're looking at implementing the work that we've been doing around the issues of river cleaning and alien vegetation removal. We would be undertaking a pilot chair with the assistance of our colleagues in the department on the waste discharge charge. We're also looking at issues of water conservation and demand management, pollution remediation. We will be developing and implementing a decision management system, ecological risk assessments, water allocation plan, and water allocation reform program will also be rolled out. But we are also alive, Chair, to the situation affecting our historically disadvantaged individuals who wishes to, or who often wish to apply for water use licenses, but they are hamstrung by the regulatory requirements in terms of them complying with or producing the hydrological reports and the geohydrological reports, which are often complex and in certain instances above the reach of those who are historically disadvantaged, and in that regard, creating a barrier or a hindrance to them being conferred with water use licenses. And we're saying, as the IUCMA, we would be reaching out to those and assisting those historically disadvantaged individuals to develop those hydrological reports and geohydrological reports, so that then their applications can be considered and processed. But we're also, Chair, going to be continuing with the work that we're doing around the transformation of the irrigation boards into water user associations. And we're looking also at empowering our stakeholders by making sure that we're giving them access to training, but also creating employment within the projects that we're going to be rolling out, including the river cleaning and alien vegetation removal projects that we run year on year. From the revenue perspective, Chair, we will be doing an audit and billing exercise within our water users. But Chair, we've noted as well that there has been quite a greater focus on surface water for quite some time, and as an institution, we've now come up with a strategy to say perhaps it's time now that we explore the possibility of the possibilities that can be explored at the level of groundwater. And in that regard, we are going to be implementing the groundwater strategy and making sure that the possibilities that exist within the groundwater environment can also be explored. But we're also going to be looking at innovative and technological ways that we can employ in the space to increase our capabilities and the delivery on our mandate. Chairperson, just an update on the Water Allocation Reform Program. We will be updating the hydrology and conducting water availability assessments for the water management area as part of our water allocation plans. We will be rolling out the VNV project, basically verifying those with existing lawful use, because we believe that this project is very important, Chair, to help us determine what water allocations can be set aside for historically disadvantaged individuals and emerging farmers. And in order for us to achieve that target, we need to complete the VNV program, so that we're able to determine whether within our catchment we do have allocations that we can make to meet the demands of historically disadvantaged individuals and emerging farmers as well. As the chairperson has pointed out, Chair, we are working with the Water Research Commission in running projects around water use efficiency in the irrigation of crops, because we have come to understand, Chair, that crops are not alike. You might need different types of irrigation systems in order for you to irrigate certain crops, and we're saying it's important that we investigate those possibilities so that in time we will have a standard operating approach in terms of water use allocations, so that if a person in Mpumalanga, we've got quite a large area under cane, and we need to understand what amount of or what type of irrigation you may need for cane irrigation. And there are a lot of other farmers now that are venturing into the macadamia space. We need to understand what kind of irrigation is suitable for that for those kinds of crops as well. But as already pointed out, Chair, we are also going to be prioritizing the water use authorization, targeting historically disadvantaged individuals, assisting them with the technical reports around the hydrology and the geohydrology as well. We have also pointed out, Chair, that we're working on the transformation project, getting our irrigation boards to be transformed into water use association as well. The 3-year plan is being rolled out, Chair. On the economic empowerment front, Chair, we're focusing on the BEE sector as well, and we're encouraging them even in our adverts and also in our bids to say those target groups within the context of BEE are always encouraged to participate in the bids and procurement activities that we undertake in the period. So our target, Chair, is that 40% of our operating budget in the year, exclusive of salaries and wages and governing board expenditure, we want that 17.2 to be set aside, Chair, for BEES expenditure as well. From a human resource perspective, Chairperson, I think the Chairperson of the governing board has pointed out that we've identified the graduate development program as one of the key projects that we must run in order for us to intervene in the plight of youth unemployment and limited skills within the youth sector. And we're saying of the young people within our catchment management area who complete their tertiary studies, we take them every 2 years, and we put them on a 24-month program wherein we expose them to on-the-job skills and make sure that as they come out, they are highly skilled individuals who are able to compete within the job space. And we've been fortunate, Chair, that some of the ones we have trained in previous intakes, some of them have been absorbed within our environment. In the 2021-22 financial year, we've taken about 18 of those interns, and we've put aside 4.1 million as a budget to fund that particular program. Chairperson, we are reporting as well that the governing board has approved the filling of the vacant position within the approved structure. And in the 2020-21 financial year, we were able to fill about 25 positions. And in the current financial year, we are aiming to fill the remaining. Actually, we've taken a view, Chair, that the filling of the vacant positions will be rolled out within a period of 3 years. In the current financial year, we're targeting to fill about 12 positions, Chair. Chairperson, I will allow the CFO to come in and take us through the finances. But just to also mention, Chair, that we are having an internal and external bursary program that we use to upskill our employees, but also external applicants who from time to time get to apply for bursary opportunities within our institution. With your permission, Chair, may I allow the CFO just to take us through the financial report. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair, members. Just to take you through the projected budget for the IUCMA for the period 21-22. So the total amount that the entity has budgeted for the year is 139 million. This has been achieved by applying a zero-based budgeting system, wherein we have costed activities that we will engage in order to achieve our outcomes as presented by our acting CEO. So in doing that, we have further realigned, as the CEO explained, the programs have been realigned and the budgeting process as well has followed that realignment. In terms of spend for the board and governance and support, we're earmarking 4% of the total budget to be allocated for this program, which totals 5 million. For the Office of the CEO, we're earmarking 7.6 million. 59% has been reserved for water resource management, which equates to 82 million. Corporate services, we have allocated 20% of our total budget, which equates to 28 million, and financial management at 16 million, which equates to 12% of our budget. And in terms of our revenue streams, we have identified 3 prominent revenue streams. First being the subsidy or augmentation, which we'll receive from the DWS, that is expected to come in at 88 million, which constitutes 64% of our total budget of 139 million. 35% of this will be collected from water resource charges, and 1% will be collected from interest received by the entity. And in terms of the expenditure, by class type, salaries and wages, we are allocating 68% of our total budget, which is 94 million. 30% will be allocated to goods and services, which is 42 million. Repairs and maintenance is 450,000, which is 0% in terms of the allocation in comparison to the total budget. Capital expenditure, 600,000. Board-related costs have come in at 2.1 million, or projected at 2.1 million, which constitutes 2% of our budget. Our expenditure then is projected to be 139 million, which results in a zero balance of our other surplus or deficit. Thank you, Chair. I'll hand it over to our acting CEO. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Chair. I think that was our presentation for the 2021-2022, and the programs as outlined are the ones that we've identified. We continue to look forward to the support that we were receiving from the department, and then looking forward also to the revised catchment management area expansions that are under discussions at this point. Thank you very much, Chair.
Well, Chairperson, thank you. And the two chairs and the acting CEOs that done. And we as a department are also here so that if there are matters on how are we supporting these agencies, we should be able to be in a position to respond, including that, Chair, when we presented earlier today around institutional arrangement, we know now that what's the take of the department going forward, while we're still consulting the sector for the number of these institutions. And then the issues of delegations are still being looked at. And when we interact, we'll speak more, because there have been some requests that have been looked at by the department for consideration by the ministry on the basis that this CMA is over time now. They've reached the maturation period, but the additional delegation will also require additional capacity and funding that we must also be able to manage. But this is a good example that CMAs, they can work in terms of management of our water resources at a local level, at a catchment management level, Chair. But as I was saying, we want to thank you and request you, Chair, to take over your meeting so that we can engage. But if there are issues that pertain to the department, I do have Usis Lindy Lusenga here. And I also have those people who are dealing with institutional oversight, Abo Sistogos Kwaza and others who should be able to respond, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, DM, and the and the two catchment agencies. Members, that was the presentation. I want to take this opportunity to invite you to talk to the presentation. Members. Honorable Musala.
No, thanks so much, Chairperson. I see I'm the only one today who's going to speak in this platform.
The chair might be graceful and give you more time.
The validation and verification of water use per catchment areas undertaken by the cash management agencies assist the departmental process. Thus far, how are the two cash management agencies performed on this task? The next question, Chairperson, is what are some of the risks envisaged by the cash management agencies in future sustainability operations? Chairperson, this question I'm going to direct it to the Department of Water and Sanitation. Monitoring of the devolution of water functions to municipalities or to cash management agencies is critical to the work of the department. Outside of the district development model, which has not been fully tested, what other strategies can be used to ensure smooth functioning of our water systems over the medium term? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Musala. Indeed, for now, you are the only person who has raised the hand.
Can I add the last question? The last one is, has the Breede-Gouritz Cash Management Agency worked with existing lawful water users in their management area to release water to assist small-scale farmers? If so, what was the response? Thank you.
Chair, we are listening carefully. We are happy with the current presentation, Chair.
What?
Unmute yourself, Comrade Chair.
Honorable Sehlwai. Honorable Sehlwai.
Thank you, Chair. I'm here. Let's appreciate the presentation, which has got a very clear narrative in terms of the programs and the implementation. But there's an issue that we've been raising, which is happening within these entities. It is historical that there are people that finds way and places to dump, and this is very, very unhealthy to our people. And we have raised to the department that polluters need to be punished. We are not getting that except to hear that they are polluters, but we do not know what are the consequences and why we treat them with gloves. We just want to know as how far has the two entities dealt with those particular people? That undermines the health of our people. Thank you, Chair. I'm done, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sifai. Just to add one question, because Breede-Gouritz and the Usuthu, they've mentioned that the time frame for the implementation of association, Farmers Association, transforming them into the new act, because they have not actually indicated the time frame on that, whether it will just be, because even it has been there. When are we saying that all this Farmers Association will then be will be catered in the new law and done away with the previous laws that they were using? So those are that is my question on the just to add on questions of members, and welcome the presentation that there is a clear program, and we welcome even the outcome-based objectives that CMAs are committed to achieve. Can we have the response?
No, thanks, Chair. I think the two chairs will lead us with respect to the two CMAs chair, but we'll also request that the department, Lindy, Lusenga, and Togo, they also speak about these issues of transformation of some of the irrigation boards into water use association and the others. And in as much as the two water boards must also be able to say how far they've gone in terms of their catchment management strategies and the verification and validation, but also I think on our side, we can say something, Chair. Maybe with your permission, we can start with Umvuleni, Le Western Cape, Breede-Gouritz.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable DM. And we do appreciate the questions from Honorable Mohlala, Honorable Sifai. I will talk to the questions raised and also ask the CEO to cover any elements that I might just miss, at least around the detail of how this has been achieved. So around the VNV issue of how have we performed in this area. So we actually, I think we also are discovering that the VNV, it's actually much more complex than we thought it would be. And this process, it's still not yet complete in the Breede-Gouritz. And what we are also learning is that based on preliminary results, is that even though we are picking up that some of the users, they registered a certain portion for water use licenses, some of them may actually go and they actually expanding and things. So we actually continuing to see what is coming up in the field. I'm saying this, honorable members, because I think my CEO and various other board members, we were out in one of the areas in the Gouritz area particularly, and the things we are discovering that side, it's very scary. And we have to actually, once we receive the reports of the VNV, verify them in detail in order to ensure that the wishes of the people on the ground, especially the point of releasing some of the waters, it's also dealt with, because we also find that many farmers find it very difficult to release water. Also at the same time, where there's drought, they also find it very difficult to pay the fees, and that so there's many issues that we are discovering on the ground as we are doing these projects of VNV. And I think once the full process is completed, we would be able to present to the department the findings and how this is going to help the department as well as the agencies to be able to deploy the work that it is meant to do. We continue to approve licenses where there is water. I'm talking about new licenses in this case. But I will allow the CEO to talk particularly to the release of water to the small-scale farmers by the existing lawful water users, which he will cover if he's got anything to add on that as soon as I am done. And also just talk slightly about the transformation of irrigation board into water use associations. I think what we're also finding out there, honorable members, is that some of the irrigation boards, they are not sustainable enough to even transform themselves, and they'll probably have to form themselves into some conglomeration of many different irrigation boards in order to form a water user association. So also this process is something that it's ongoing at this stage. And the polluter pays principle. First of all, we also do not appreciate the pollution, because pollution, even if people can pay for pollution, the resource itself is destroyed. People downstream are suffering. So we do continuous monitoring. I think the CEO should talk to this if there were any cases that they picked up, and give the honorable members the tangible results as to what exactly happened to those polluters. I don't want to just talk theory here, but if there's issues that happen on the ground, things that may not necessarily be reported at the board level, he can talk to that. And the sustainability of these entities, I think I'd leave that to the department, but in this case, I just want to allow the CEO, Mr. Van Staden, to just talk to some of the gaps that I might have left out in terms of the VNV, as well as the release of water to small-scale farmers. Thank you, honorable members. Mr. Van Staden.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding the VNV, I just want to mention that before 2014, the current Breede-Gouritz Catchment Management Agency was called the Breede-Overberg Catchment Management Agency. And for that part, the old area, the Breede-Overberg area, we more or less completed the VNV for that area. But in 2014, the Gouritz part was added to the Breede-Gouritz CMI. For that VNV project, we appointed a service provider, and that service provider is still busy to roll out the process. But we've gathered sufficient information from this project now to do certain things to check at unlawfulness, yes or no. But like Mr. Manisi said, is a very complex process. And also what is making it even more complicated is this thing about correspondence through and through between the Breede-Gouritz CMI and the water user. And in the past, many times we used the post office, but there's also challenges in the post office. So many times a water user will receive correspondence late or even never. So we try now to roll everything over to electronic correspondence, but for that a certain process and approval is necessary, and that takes time. Regarding the work with farmers that release water to emerging farmers, I just want to give a background also to this area. The majority of the area is a winter rainfall area. So it means it rains in the winter, but the crops that you need to irrigate needs the water in the summer. So in the winter, when the water is available, you must actually develop a dam to capture water so that you can irrigate it later. That is in a normal water resources. I mean, the groundwater is always available throughout the year, and then there is water available in some of the government schemes in this area. There are a lot of big government schemes here, especially the reason is because it's a winter rainfall area and you need to store the water to use in the summer months. But I've got experience where water users with existing lawful water use, I can think quickly about the one big water user association close to the town of Worcester with the name of the Breede River Water User Association. And those farmers that's using water from that scheme gave up 500 hectares of water that was actually given to emerging farmers to do farming, especially in our irrigated farming, and especially in the field, the sector of the vineyards. And there's also a very good opportunity coming this year. The department is busy to do some work at this brandfly scheme that will even make more water available, and the majority of that water allocation in terms of the allocation rules will actually go to emerging farmers. So far the experience was positive. If you talk to farmers and they do understand the problem, they're normally willing to play their part also to give up water of the current existing lawful water use. Where it comes to pollution, that is a terrible thing for water resources, like Mr. Manisi explained. In our area, there's not a lot. I mean, I can count it on my one hand of industries that actually discharge directly to water resources. So the pollution can mainly come from the network of the municipalities, either from the sewage treatments work or the pump station. And normally when we pick up a problem, we first inform the culprit of the problem. And then in my experience, then the problem is normally addressed. But if there's unwillingness to address the problem now, I mean, then the option for the Breede-Gouritz CMI is to hand over the case to the National Prosecuting Authority to take the matter forward. But we don't really want to tolerate any pollution of water resources in this area. When it comes to the Water User Association, the Transforming of Irrigation Board, we already did due diligence on a couple of them in this area, and some of those proposals were sent to the department to do the necessary and hopefully for the approval. But it is quite possible that if everything goes according to plan, that within the next 18 months, all the irrigation boards can be transformed to water user associations if we all work together. I can just make a comment on the sustainability. The sustainability is many cases also linked to funding, and the current risk is the current pricing strategy that is not allowing the CMA to collect the necessary revenue to do operations. So the risk is always if that part of the augmentation that is coming from the department is not coming anymore, then the Breede-Gouritz CMA will not be able to balance the books. And the risk is also on the other side in a period of drought, for example, not a willingness, but a capability of the water users really to pay the water resource management charges. And that put you always in a very much in a risk situation. Thank you, Chair. That's it.
Thank you very much, Acting CEO. Honorable Chair, I don't know if we've covered all the questions. Perhaps the honorable members could highlight areas where there are gaps, and we can expand accordingly. Chairperson, thank you. Back to you.
We have not spoken about VNV, verification and validation in your catchment.
Honorable DM, thank you for that comment. I think that's the one we talked to earlier in the response.
He did DM. He did.
Okay,
Yeah.
bengilele kancane, Chair, my apology.
We can't blame you. We can't blame you,
It's been
Honorable.
a long
It's been a long
day.
week.
Ungasirepresent Mawulela ulala ungasirepresent.
When Amashiku, you're not working on the weekend.
Can we then give Sesogos team if they want to add on the transmission of irrigation boards and
you don't want to give Inkomati first, Chair, before Sis Togo can come?
Okay.
Yeah.
The chair of Inkomati and the CEO.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. On the questions raised by Honorable Mohlala, VNV, I will ask the acting CEO to address that one, giving us where we are and challenges that we are facing. And the other question that was asked was future sustainability of CMA. It's still going to be a process here, and we'll still need a grant from the government, because the revenue that we're collecting might not sustain us, but we have strategies in place for revenue enhancement that will keep on raising that quota where we need on our own revenue. The question asked by Honorable Safai, water polluters, we still have big problem with the municipalities. They are decaying infrastructure in the province, and but we're trying our best. In some instances, if we were not listened to by the polluters, we even open police cases, and we are in a process of implementing pollution charges on that. But it's still a challenge. I will ask the CEO to add on that. The questions asked by the chair on Water Users Association, I will also ask the CEO to look to respond to that, where we are and what challenges we have, because we still have challenges in that space. So I will ask CEO to start with the validation and verification, please.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We've made quite a significant progress, Chair, on a number of the questions that members have raised in relation to the VNV, and I would like to request the Executive Water Resource Management, Dr. Mulandwa, just to take us through the key areas to do with the pollution, the VNV, the transformation of water user associations, and the sustainability risks as well. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Chairperson, and thank you, members. On the issue of the VNV, the anticipated percentage that should be concluded at the end of when we did our project 2018 was 90%, but we can safely report that we are at 62%. And as also indicated by the colleagues from the Breede, due to the changes that are happening, the IUCMA has established a division for data and information, which then will be able to update the VNV information as you go, as farms are bought and sold and divided going forward. Our sustainability risks, Chair, we know that it's both about the resource itself, Chair. The impact of climate change cannot be discounted when it comes to the resource. And in this case, we have just come out of a 5-year drought in the water management area. And therefore, we would need to highlight that in one of our economic hub catchments, which is the Crocodile Catchment, Chair, there is a need for a storage facility, which then will be able to assist the IUCMA to comply with the international obligations, but also to ensure that we can mitigate the impact of climate change. That definitely finances are a key role player, Chair, because looking at the differences between the water users in the Breede as well as in the water management area, you can be able to identify We've got a lot of historically disadvantaged. We've got a lot of land that is restituted, that is lying fallow and not being utilized in order to generate the money and therefore the water resource charges to be paid. But in terms of Section 84, Chair, of the Act, we need to be having some parliamentary grant, which is guaranteed in the Act. However, we seek to achieve zero-based budgeting, Chair, together with our water users. However, as also Yanni indicated, the pricing strategy poses a risk to us being able to realize the true cost of water, Chair, wherein we need to be planning together with the water users for a better water tariffs and in order to be able to be more sustainable. For example, Chair, we could, if also assigned Schedule 3 delegations, we would be able to work together with our stakeholders to decide on better cost, for example, for a cost of licenses for application for a water use license, because currently it's actually 100 rands. But when you look at the resources utilized to assess the application, it is a bit costly. Chair, I think Yanni touched on the issue of the pollution, but safe to say our greatest challenge is with the aging infrastructure of local government, municipalities in particular, Chair. We are also finding that because some of the pollution will be disposed in the resources at night when nobody is there, we have at the IUCMA installed telemetric monitoring systems that will be able to pick up these pollution and then be able to report so that we can be able to have near real-time monitoring. But the other pollution sector, Chair, comes from the mines that are abandoned and unowned by anybody, and therefore that is some of the challenges that we are facing. The Irrigation Board transformation to the establishment of Water User Association, we have in our water management area already commenced with supporting the department with regards to the consultation processes, Chair. I believe that it is good to indicate that as per our plan, we intend to conclude this by the end of the financial year. However, in terms of the principles of agreement, Chair, that is where the risk and the challenges are faced, because in the end, there needs to be an agreement by the stakeholders themselves, by the water users around how the voting will happen, how the inclusion will happen to represent the true transformation, because currently we are having a lot of comments coming from our HDIs and our emerging farmers that the irrigation boards are actually being mandated with the transforming themselves. It's almost a camouflage type of an activity wherein they want the status quo to remain. However, in terms of empowerment and consultation and engaging water users, we are hoping that by the time we go for gazetting of the water user associations that will be established, there should be convergence in ideas amongst the water users. Thanks, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. That was our response to the questions. Thank you.
We'll request this cover to come through.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members. Honorable DM, thank you very much. The Chair has raised the critical issue of transformation of irrigation boards into water user associations. Chairperson, our National Water Act is committed and facilitates the decentralization of water resource management to a local level. When the Act was promulgated in 1998, Chairperson, it was envisaged that the transformation of irrigation board will take about 6 months after the promulgation of the Act. But Chairperson, we can say that it's something that we are not proud of. The process has been very slow. It has lagged behind. And Chairperson, we are hoping that as the CMAs are taking off, there's going to be a huge impact in terms of transformation at a local level. We still have about 200 of these entities that were created by the 1956 act on the ground. They are important institutions because they contribute towards the food security and in the irrigation sector. And they are also a part of our family in terms of the water resource management. In terms of a transformation, Chairperson, it has been a bit difficult for us. We have learned our lessons, but we have now come up with a new way of doing things together with the CMAs. We are also working with the South African water network of water user associations, whereby we have developed critical indicators for the transformation of these entities. Those indicators are related to changing the voting when we appoint the management committees at a local level, changing that we don't vote in terms of the land that people have, the number of hectares that people have, but we vote in terms of one person, one vote. And I think we have seen some improvement in terms of the engagement that we have had. And a lot of them are now approaching us because the main thing is to bring them under the National Water Act so that we are able to regulate them. Together with the CMAs and the SAFUA Chairperson, we have muted the Transformation Charter that is currently being drafted, that is going to drive the transformation of all the irrigation boards, and most of them are currently busy with developing their proposals, which they will submit to the minister, and where they will be stating their intentions in terms of transformation imperatives. Chairperson, unfortunately, it's not going to be finalized within this financial year. We have put our projections, and we are hoping that it is going to be a 3 to 5 year program to transform them and put them under the National Water Act. With regard, Chairperson, to the issue of Honorable Mohlala around the devolving of functions in terms of monitoring the municipalities and CMAs, and the issue of the district model, we in terms of the municipalities, the minister's powers, she monitors municipalities through regulation. We have regulatory instruments that monitor the municipalities. We are trying, Chairperson, we haven't done very well. As you know, that we are now reviving the blue and green drop as part of the regulation of the municipalities at local level, and also the issues around water conservation and demand management. When it comes to the district model, Madam Chair, it's still, it's new. We have been participating with COCTA, and they are assisting us mainly around the issues of revenue management. They have felt that if we participate at the district level, it's going to improve our relationship with municipalities, where we will be able to ensure that the revenue management is being enforced at a local level. Thank you, Chair. I will end there. Thank you, DM. Thank you, Acting DG as well.
Chair, I'm not sure whether the Lindy Lusenga, who's representing the DG, has anything to add, but from our side, we should be okay. Sis Lindy. Unmute.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members and DM. And we really appreciate your guidance in this area. And we've seen that these agencies have been very instrumental in assisting us in some of the work that is related to the matters that are related to VNV, and particularly the water management at local level. And we need to also applaud these agencies also for assisting us, particularly in the transboundary related matters, particularly with regard to Inkomati-Usuthu, where they've been a role player in assisting our neighbors. So, Chair, we are looking forward to the expansion of these institutions so that they are fully established in terms of the vision of the National Water Act, so that in the end we are able to manage the water resources at local level. You've seen in their APPs that they are hard at work also to looking at the issues of transformation and also the issues of youth development. Can you imagine if they were all available in all the regions, would be having high value impact, and also looking at the issues of VNV, because this is one of the challenges that we're having. So we're looking forward to your guidance and also assisting us moving forward as they manage these areas. And lastly, the issue of pollution is very, very key, and we are not tolerating. You've seen also, you've heard their testimony that they are not going to tolerate pollution, and because this is one of the key principal policy position that we are not going to tolerate pollution. So once we have all these catchment management areas established, this will go a long way in ensuring that we achieve our inspiration of ensuring that our communities benefit at catchment management area. So with this, I really submit and hope that we will get your guidance. Thank you so much.
Chair, thank you very much. What we'll do with respect to broader issues around the financial viability of these institutions, I think at a particular point when we're ready, we need to interact with the portfolio committee chair in the light of many of government entities that are struggling. As we are quite aware, Chairperson, the water boards, a number of them are struggling right now because of issues of non-payment, and because many of the organizations that are supposed to pay are not paying. And I'm very pleased that we are raising the issues of viability now as members. We need to be able to look at it. And then probably when about Togo they are ready, our program to transform the irrigation boards to the Water Use Association is one of the things that if your program allows, we should be able to come and engage with yourself so that we can be able to draw from your wisdom as members and your experiences. And as I've said before, we should admit that we are lagging behind when it comes to issues of compulsory licensing for transformation purposes. Hence, in many areas, the issues of verification and validation or cash management strategies for each catchment. Those are the main three areas that the department, I think we should be able to come back and have a proper discussion with yourselves, because the more we engage, these institutions must be able to discharge their mandate, and while the department regulates and ensure that they are supported. Siyabonga Sihlalo.
Thank you, DM and the team. Just to check with members if they want to do a follow-up. I see there is no hands. Thank you very much, DM and your team. But I must mention that the section in the department too that deals with the validation and verification. I think need to be strengthened and be monitored so that the catchment management agencies can be supported and can get assistance from that section of the department, DM. Because
we'll do that, leadership.
It has not been performing for the past 3 years. Thank you very much to the presentation and to the board of CMAs and the CEOs. Thank you very much for the presentation, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Long live the chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair, and good night.
Thank you, Chair.
Surprise you. We wanted to surprise you, Mahlobo.
Good night, my for my brother.
Just to surprise you. Ask no question and just accept everything.
Ngiyabuka ukuthi khona into oyijongile mngani wakho. Okay, Hotman.
No, I think honestly the presentation were very clear.
Yes,
No, they were good.
Thank you very
much. They were very clear.
Okay, bye, Chair.
Okay, thanks. Thanks a lot.